Hi everyone, welcome back to our psychology sample paper number 2 session. So, in our previous class with regard to the sample paper 1 we discussed. Now today we will see a sample paper number 2. You know that the current psychology year, we have the 7 chapters in our syllabus, and within the 7 chapters you need to answer 31 questions. Look into these are the instructions before beginning of the examination or the paper. Question number 1 to 14 are the objective type questions, and question number 15, 16 case studies. You have 7 questions to be answered. One is an internal choice here. Question number 17 to 22 are section 3. These are the 2-mark questions. You need to answer 6 questions here. And question number 23 to 25, you need to answer 3-mark 3 questions. And question number 26 to 29, if you see the section 5, you need to answer the 4-mark questions, which are 4 questions you need to answer. And question number 30 and 31, 2 questions for each question for 6 marks, which you need to answer here. Even you can look into the word limit also. From 17 to 22, it should be 30 words. 23 to 25, 60 words we are saying. Of course, if the word limit is increasing, it's okay. It's not a very strict parameter, but don't go below this. And section 5, you have the 100 words, and section 6, you have 200 words. Let us see the section 1. The first question is, an individual's underlying potential for acquiring the skill is known as, you see here the concept actually, underlying potential for acquiring the skill is the aptitude. The question number 2, if you see, the first one you see here, intelligence, aptitude, attitude, personality. These are the 4 options which are provided to you. And the right answer is the aptitude. Aptitude is the by birth potential. It is an underlying potential for acquiring the skills in our day-to-day life. The second one you see, when a person tries to make unreasonable feelings or behavior seems reasonable and acceptable, it is called as, whenever an individual tries to make the unreasonable things look like reasonable to him, this is a defense mechanism called rationalization. In our syllabus, under the title of the ego defense mechanisms, we have 5 defense mechanisms. And there are 2 more terms which are there in your syllabus, like, displacement. That's also a defense mechanism. But it is not under the title of the ego defense mechanism. So rationalization is the right answer here. Rationalization means an individual perceive the unreasonable things also like a reasonable way. Like an individual after buying a new pen saying that I am going to do well the coming exam, I'm going to write in a much better way with this pen. You see, this is unreasonable. Whatever you did not achieve, you start saying that I don't want this. Like the fox and the grape story, you see. The fox will say after trying to reach the grapes and it fails, and it says finally, I don't want, these grapes are sour or these grapes are bitter. Such type of statements you see here. Now the third one, the reaction to external stressor is called as strain. The reaction to external stressor is called as strain. It is the reaction to the stress causing agent. Don't get confused what is the meaning of the term coping and what is the meaning of the term strain. Coping is a way of overcoming the stress. Strain is actually expression of your anger, your frustration, your feeling. That's it. Nowadays we are hearing the new term like COVID strain. You see the second wave, they are saying the COVID strain they are calling, but they are using this term in a different way. The question number 4, dominating and bullying others without provocation is known as, it is the proactive aggression. In chapter 4, we have the aggression. It is the proactive aggression. It is. The question number 5. Aversive conditioning is repeated association of desired response with an aversive consequence. True or false? It is true. What is the meaning of the term aversive conditioning? If you see, any unwanted behavior we are going to associate with an aversive stimuli or a consequent. So in aversive conditioning, if you observe, we are going to use a painful stimuli or something which is undesirable stimuli, like undesired response. Whenever you see an alcoholic, he is going to drink the alcohol, we are trying to give a painful stimuli like using an electric shock or asking the alcoholic to smell the alcohol. These are all part of the aversive conditioning. You will get confused. In aversive conditioning also we are using the electric shock, and at the same time in electroconvulsive therapy also we are using the electric shock. You see, the electric shock which is given in the electroconvulsive therapy in ECT, it is basically given to the brain region. But in this aversive consequence, we are not going to touch the brain region. You see, remaining part of the body it is. The question number 6, you see here, cluster or ideas regarding the characteristics of a specific group is known as cluster or ideas regarding the characteristics of a specific group. What actually you see here, the question number 6 here, I gave the answer. Yes, it is the stereotype. The cluster or ideas regarding the characters of a specific group is known as a stereotype. You can look into this area. Now the 7th one, groupthink is a consequence of extreme cohesiveness. True or false? You see here it is the true statement. Groupthink is resulting because of due to extreme cohesiveness. And because of the groupthink, final outcome is group polarization. You see here. Extreme cohesiveness is leading to groupthink, and groupthink is leading to group cohesiveness. Interconnectivity of these three terms. Now, the concept of self-efficacy is based on dash learning theory. It is the social learning theory of Albert Bandura. Social learning theory of Albert Bandura it is. An individual is not able to make a decision about casting his vote, and he observed the exit poll survey reports and blindly followed the majority view and casted his vote. The situation is an example of group polarization, true or false. If you see, it is the false statement. An individual not able to make a decision, but he casted his vote and he observed the exit on the base of the exit poll survey. Of course, the exit poll nowadays after the polling they are releasing since last year, but earlier it is previously, exit poll used to get released before the election date. Anyhow, after seeing the exit poll surveys, he went and he blindly voted on the basis of the majority. You see, this is a situation indicating, it is the bandwagon effect actually. What is bandwagon effect? In the matter of critical issues or capital punishment, an individual not able to make a decision, then what he will do? He see the majority. Exit poll he observed. Exit poll also a way of showing majority is with whom, minority is with whom. So blindly he imitated the majority. It is the bandwagon effect. Now the question number 10, you see, client-centered therapy focuses on creating unconditional positive regard in the client. Yes, true. The unconditional positive regard is a concept introduced by Carl Rogers. And the client-centered therapy is also from the side of Carl Rogers. You see here. So both the two are having a very close connection. That's the reason we can say it is the true. Now the question number 11, Dash developed the Indian version of DAT test. You know, the Indian version of DAT, the differential aptitude test battery. DAT is developed on the basis of primary mental abilities theory of Thurston. So Indian version of DAT is by option A here, J.M. Ojha. I gave here this name also, George K. Bennett, the actual person who was behind the development of this DAT experiment. But George K. Bennett name is not at all mentioned in our class 12 syllabus. And Indian version only it is. Indian version, the credit will go to J.M. Ojha. Actual in the world, the DAT was developed by George K. Bennett. S.M. Hossain and J.P. Das, both the two are irrelevant with the concept of aptitude. Question number 12. Sternberg's notion of contextual intelligence implies that intelligence is a product of culture. It is the product of culture. Many of you will have a concept, society also, right? No, sir, like you think, no. They are saying it is from the part of the culture. Society is different, culture is different. Sometimes culture is a character of the society, and some vice versa, I can say to you. It is a very big area, actually debatable area, but you keep it up to this. The contextual intelligence is the product of the culture. It's not the society. Now, everyday life, routine events or incidents are considered as the hassles. Yes, the daily life events from the Meeting Life Challenges chapter 3, it is true, it is. Everyday life, routine problems like, the traffic problem, water shortage, electric problem, these are all actually the hassles in our day-to-day life. Now the question number 14, increase in the level of performance of an individual in the presence of others is known as what it is? Social facilitation. Increasing in your level of performance in the presence of others. The presence of others basically audience. It is the social facilitation, not social inhibition. Social inhibition is what? Decrease in the level of performance in the presence of audience. Social loafing within a group activity, it will takes place. Now, question number 15. Sita's age 55 and she is worried about her husband and children. She is restless, irritable and has difficulty in concentrating. She is experiencing a kind of worry about the safety of her family members and she is not able to find any reason. It was observed that she is not ready to go out of the home and also she is not allowing her family members to go out of the home. Let us see the condition. Identify the disorder which is experienced. Here you see there is no reason she is worried about the family members. Without any reason, a kind of anxiety or the worry is known as GAD. Generalized anxiety disorder. What are the possible alternative methods of treating the above client? You see, possible alternative method, alternative therapy here. You can use the word yoga, meditation, counseling. These are all alternative therapies. These are all alternative therapies. What are the various related or associated disorders with the problem experienced by Sita, you see here? What are the various other disorders experienced by Sita? In this case, if you see, she's having the phobia also, you see. Agoraphobia, you can say here. The word is here, the agora. She is not allowing the family members to go out of the home. She is not leaving and she is not allowing others, you see. Generally, the phobias will begin with the generalized anxiety disorder. Don't forget this area, my children. Now, our question is, Sunil met a major car accident and lost his loved ones in the same accident. So you can understand here, the major car accident is a trauma or a traumatic event in the life of Sunil. He suffered with various major injuries, and after the recovery from the injuries, he started feeling that he is alone in the world and started blaming himself for his fate and always feels there is no hope in life. And tried for suicide, you see. It was observed that he is experiencing the nightmares, recurrent dreams, flashbacks in his life. Identify the disorder which is experienced by Sunil. It is the PTSD. What are the other stress and trauma related disorders? Here the PTSD related disorders basically. Acute stress disorder and adjustment disorder. These are the two more disorders which are there in the category of stress and trauma related. In stress and trauma related disorders, the first one is PTSD, second one is acute stress, the third one is adjustment. The acute stress disorder is a kind of disorder after the after a painful life event of stress in life, after experiencing a life event of stress, within a month of time an individual is going to develop this acute stress disorder. It includes the symptoms of anxiety and dissociation. Adjustment disorder, generally it is basically inability to cope up with the surrounding existing environment it is. Now the question number 15, see you see here. Blaming himself for his fate is indicating the client is suffering with low self-efficacy. Whenever an individual is able to blame his luck or his fate, that is indicating the low self-efficacy. Now, let us go to the question number 16. Mr. Ram and Shyam are the childhood friends and they are working in a same company. Whenever a problem comes, Mr. Shyam used to be emotional and cry for his fate or look into the situations, whereas Mr. Ram used to check the root causes and comes out of the problem with an alternative solution in an effective way. It was observed that Mr. Shyam was having a very low amount of patience and always busy with work tensions, feels short of time and hurry to complete the task, you see. Mr. Shyam used to be emotional and cry for his fate, look into the situations. This situation is indicating the question number 16A you see here. You can look into low self-efficacy. Whenever an individual is crying and looking into the situations, blaming to the problem, you see again, here the low self-efficacy it is. Now, identify the personality of Mr. Shyam in the current case study. You see here, emotional and cry for his fate, and at the same time, you see his personality. He is very low. He's having low amount of patience and always busy with work tensions. Feels short of time and hurry to complete the task. You see here. When you analyze this personality characters, it is going to be the type A personality. And what kind of possible threat is associated with the personality of Mr. Shyam? If you see here, the hypertension and coronary heart disease, as you see here. So any one question may come from the, not from the chapter 4, from chapter 3 to 1, any chapter in the case studies. Mostly one question from the chapter 4. Now, what is emotional direct questions? I made many direct questions for you people in this paper. My children, you can look into this area. What is emotional intelligence? You see here. Emotional intelligence is the feeling side of intelligence. It is the feeling side of intelligence. It includes, emotional intelligence is the feeling side of intelligence. It is the combination of both. You can use this definition also. It is the combination of Howard Gardner's intrapersonal intelligence and interpersonal intelligence. You can say this also. Emotional intelligence is actually a set of skills that underlie accurate appraisal and regulation of emotions, or it is the knowledge about one's own emotions as well as others' emotions, feelings. This is the emotional intelligence. Define the meaning of the term phobia. Here you need to write, phobia, the word is derived from a Greek word phobos. Phobos means the god of fear. Phobia is generally termed as an irrational fear. We have the three different types of phobias: specific, social, agora. The specific phobia is a phobia of specific object, a specific event, or specific incident, you can say. Social phobias are known as social anxiety disorder. The phobia of interacting or dealing with someone's character it is. Agoraphobia, if you see here, agoraphobia is what actually the agoraphobia is the fear of unfamiliar situation or places. Like you see in the case of, we notice here in one of the case also, there is a agoraphobia related with the GAD here. You see Sita's case, I'm sorry. In Sita's case, of course, you can say what are the other related disorders of the phobia or GAD, panic disorder, phobia, so many are there. But this question, you see, what are the various related or associated disorders with the problem experienced by Sita? It is the Sita's problem is GAD, agoraphobia is there with her actually. But I gave all the disorders as answer key to you people. But it is actually the agoraphobia for this question. Now the word aggression you see here. Aggression is from the chapter 4. I took this one for you people, It's an expression actually. The aggression is the way of expressing your anger towards an individual or an object or a situation it is. It is of 4 different types. Verbal aggression, proactive aggression. You see here, we have the aggression like, verbal aggression using abusive terms to someone it is. Proactive aggression, dominating and bullying others without their provocation. Hostile aggression, an intention to injure or harm someone it is. Hostile. Proactive, hostile, verbal aggression. Physical aggression is there. Hitting or fighting it is actually. Now, what is unconditional positive regard? You see here, 20th question. Unconditional positive regard. It is the non-judgmental and permissive attitude shown by the therapist towards the client in the process of psychotherapy it is. In the process of psychotherapy, what kind of positive attitude expressed by the therapist towards the client, irrespective of the client's behavior, that is called unconditional regard. What is pro-social behavior? You see here, chapter 6 it is. Pro-social behavior is similar to altruism, helping the poor and the needy without expecting anything in return. That is the pro-social behavior, my children. Now, you see, in this chapter 6, pro-social behavior is in the end of the chapter. You will think that maybe it is out of syllabus. But you see, the definition of the pro-social behavior is there in the chapter 6 beginning itself. So don't forget this area. Now, what is social inhibition? Yes, social inhibition refers to decrease or decline in the level of performance of an individual in the presence of a group of audience. That is the social inhibition. Now, I kept only one internal choice for you people. As per the sample paper, there are 2, but sometimes we cannot say, many times they never follow their paper pattern. That's the reason. It's okay. Now, define psychoneuroimmunology. You see, psychoneuroimmunology is a science. It's a branch of study. It deals with the links between the mind, brain, and immune system. The first statement you need to answer. The second one, it studies the influence or impact of the stress on human immune system. Now, let us go to the section 4, my children here. PTSD, the PTSD are the post-traumatic stress disorder. Whenever an individual is a victim of any one natural calamity or a man-made disaster and he survives from this disaster, that time he or she will experience the PTSD. PTSD includes, the various symptoms like nightmares, flashbacks, or recurrent dreams will be there in the PTSD. Feeling of helplessness, hopelessness is the main thing here. With this helplessness and hopelessness, an individual will experience the nightmares, recurrent dreams, flashbacks will be there. Any example, you see, we have a case study also with the PTSD given to you. You can give any example. I made this paper like this only to make you people easy and understand. Any example you give, any one person, you create a story. A person, because of due to a bomb blast, became a victim. He lost his loved ones. You see, nowadays, if you go to the YouTube, you are getting many stories like this. You see, a person met an accident or a person victim of the bomb blast and he lost his loved ones. Now he is suffering with this problem. You see, explain autism. You know, the autism is a neurodevelopmental disorder. An individual suffering with the autism will have difficulties in social interaction and communication skills. Basically, they are not able to interact and they are not able to communicate. Second area, these people will have the restricted range of interest, means limited interest they will have. They don't have a wide variety of interest. They have a limited areas of interest. And you know, in autism, repetition of the same task and limited interest. And the final point here is 70% of the children suffering with the autism are mentally retarded. See, the number 70 is the magic figure actually. In IQ level below 70 is generally called as mentally retarded or intellectually impaired, intellectually challenged, any term. And at the same time, in autism, the number of cases, if after observing, they came to a conclusion that the 70% of the cases with autism are mentally challenged or intellectually impaired or retarded. Retarded is a negative word actually, but still it is used. So we are using. What about the remaining 30 with autism? You know, they are extremes again. They have the autism, but they are not intellectually retarded. They are much better in performance wise. That's the reason it was this 30% category was earlier kept as Asperger syndrome. Now let us go to the question number 24. How will you resolve the prejudice between the two religious groups, and mention any strategies, any three strategies you mention here, any three or four, you see. How can you resolve the prejudice? You see, increase intergroup communication, you see here. You can first, you see, introduce the superordinate goal among the people of the different religions. Think of developing the building the road or something, constructing a public toilet system or something, you see. So automatically all the people will get united. It is not having the task, you see. Such goals you need to introduce. Increase intergroup communication. If you are able to create one group and you arrange a dialogue between both the two religious groups or the caste groups, any one area you take here. Increase the intergroup communication, introduce superordinate goals. The third one, arrange as much as possible get-togethers in a friendly environment. Organize the friendly sports, the village games among the people of different religion. But don't make the group with the same religion as one group, another group. No, mix the people, combine the people. Okay, when you are able to imply, when you are able to take these type of strategies, you know, you can make the people to understand each and every other in a better way, and the tensions will get reduced. The main problem in our life is lack of communication. So increase the communication. You can use any strategy, it's up to you, because you can think and you can provide. These are my way I am giving to you. Now, Mr. X is having positive attitude towards the democracy, and explain the three important components of his attitude. X is having a positive attitude for democracy. Okay, affective, behavioral, cognitive. ABC components you give here. Affective. Affective means his feelings. He loved the democracy, or he loved the concept of democracy or the views of Abraham Lincoln. He respects the views of the famous democratic leaders in the world like Jawaharlal Nehru or Abraham Lincoln, or anybody who tried to talk about the democracy, you see. Anyone who is basically a very democratic leader. Affective, the feelings they will have. Or Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So what about the cognitive? You see here, they think in a positive way about the democracy. Their thoughts are actually the cognition here. And the actions, you see, behavior, action. Now, a person who is having a positive attitude in democracy, he will move and he will cost his vote and he will understand the value of the vote, you see, his action. He will not sell his vote, most probably, you see. So these are actually the actions we can notice in the behavior of the person. So this is the question number 20. I'm just giving a brief explanation to you for each question, my children. Now, section 5 will go. What is assessment? Explain any two methods of psychological assessment. Very good. Assessment refers to the measurement of psychological attributes of an individual. What are the two methods of psychological assessment? Maybe you can say interview, questionnaire, a checklist, a rating scale, any one area you can explain here. What are the defense mechanisms? Actually, this sample paper is one of the previous paper actually. The previous paper I modified as per the current syllabus. Means according to your syllabus, I modified this previous board paper it is. One of the year board paper I just modified as per your requirement and I am presenting to you people, my children. You know, the defense mechanism is a way of reducing the anxiety by distorting the reality. Freud's ego defense mechanisms we have repression by force forgetting, projection, blaming someone for our own mistakes or failures. Like you write the exam and the paper is difficult and you say the teacher is very bad, he did not teach me in a proper way. You say this is projection, denial, refusing to accept the truth or the reality, rationalization, unreasonable things look like reasonable to you, regression, acting back. You see here regression is acting backward, like after failing in an exam, a grown-up individual also will cry like a child. These are all the ego defense mechanisms. An individual would like to be a doctor. An individual would like to be a doctor, okay, but fail to achieve it. Yes, explain the approach of personality on the base of the given statement we are calling. Of course, an individual would like to become a doctor, but he failed to achieve it. Explain the approach of humanistic approach of Carl Rogers, you see. Real self and ideal self. What about the real self you see here? The real self is what you are at present, the ideal what you would like to become. When you fail to achieve your ideal self, you know, that time you will develop the mental discrepancy. Of course, I just gave to the direct point to you. Before this, you have to mention human behavior is goal-directed, behavior is worthwhile, behavior is purposeful. You need to write about the behavior, then you go to this area of Carl Rogers personality. This is differentiate substance dependency and substance abuse. Yes, many of you in the name of substance disorders you are getting confused. Alcohol dependency, heroin abuse, cocaine abuse. These three only we are thinking. No. First off, you see here, there is a dependency as well as there is an abuse. Both the two are together actually now in the current syllabus. Dependency means showing tolerance and withdrawal symptoms to the particular drug actually. Dependency is standing on tolerance and withdrawal. Abuse is what actually you see here. Abuse means what are the consequences because of consuming the particular substance or the drug it is, basically the abuse. You know, the loss of job will be there, family violence. You see, family tensions, family violence, loss of job, these are all part of the abuse. Nobody is going to keep a drug addict person in the company. No wife or no husband will tolerate a drug addict spouse, you see here. So these are all the abuse symptoms. Finally, you can give the example of alcohol, heroin, cocaine, all these three. Fundamental attribution error with an example. This is another interesting question, my children, here from the chapter 6 only. You know that the word attribution means assigning causes to the behavior of others. In the process of assigning the causes to the behavior of others, highlighting the personal factors and ignoring the role of situational or environmental factors is known as Fundamental attribution error. For example, an employee is late to office and his boss is shouting at him and blaming that he's always coming late. Maybe he got struck because of due to traffic problem or something, but the manager is shouting on the employee that he's late. So without considering the external factors, blaming or highlighting the personal factors. Chapter 6, this question is there, my children, in your syllabus. Attribution, again, if you get confused, some of the area is deleted, but those deleted concepts are there in the beginning of the chapter. Please look into this area. Now, what is the stress? Explain the effects of stress on psychological functioning. You see here, what is the stress and how the stress is affecting? You see, stress is a silent killer. Stress, the word is derived from strictus, a Latin word you have to mention. And psychological functioning, you see, how the stress is affecting our psychological functioning, like faulty decisions at work, cognitions, irrational thinking, all these areas you need to explain in detail. The answer key is there down. Explain the strategies to cope with the stress. You see here, what are the coping strategies? Like you can mention here the three coping strategies of Endler and Parker: task oriented, emotion oriented, avoidance oriented. And Lazarus, two coping strategies are there: problem focus and emotion focus. You need to mention all this. What is psychotherapy? Discuss the factors contributing to healing in psychotherapy. Psychotherapy is a voluntary relationship between the client and the therapist. What are the factors contributing to healing in psychotherapy? If you see here, my children, the factors which are contributing is therapeutic alliance, first one, the process of communication, therapist related factors, client related factors, like therapist intelligence, therapist knowledge, professional qualification, his experience, expertise in that area, client's level of smartness. Sometimes, the client is very smart and he will ready to accept the change, but some people will not accept the change very quickly. Now, what are the techniques used in behavior therapy? We are not asking you what is behavior therapy. Techniques in behavior therapy, you see. First one, positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, differential reinforcement, aversive conditioning, token economy, systematic desensitization, principle of reciprocal inhibition, vicarious learning. You need to mention all these techniques. Generally, it's a 6-mark question. If you are able to mention 6 or 7 points, more than enough. I hope you all understand, because of due to the time limitation, I just moved the fast or a speed way, my children. This is the answer key. This all I will share with you people later. This sample paper, everything I will share with you people. Just to explain one paper to you people today. So thank you very much, children. Stay connected with us. I will try my level best to, before the beginning of the class, one more paper I will try to do it for your sake. Okay. Thank you very much. Take care and God bless you all.